There's a bouquet of dying violets on my dresser. Why do people send flowers for the day of a performance? They should send them for the week of dress rehearsals, when one needs inspiration to continue, when one feels excited and fresh, not on the day of a show. That night, returning home to an empty apartment and neglected laundry and the late news, when the place looks like a funeral parlor for all the flowers sent by faceless people, entering this house of mourning with memories of the evening's performance never again to be created, knowing that tomorrow morning the laundry will have to be finished and the groceries replenished and the phone calls made. And even though a person or two will say they enjoyed last night's performance, therefore proving that it did occur, more people than not will merely comment on the morning rain. No wonder I want the violets to die. No wonder I forget to water the roses. They should have been sent for dress rehearsals. They would have lasted longer. Oh, I was so good last night. I wish you had been there. You've never seen me do anything solid. You've always been up there with me, and it's never been solid. But last night, I made people laugh. I made people cry. People watched me the way I always watch you. And you think I have no talent save for making a friend or two, jotting down a thought or two, making tea. And now there's a bouquet of dying violets on my dresser, and I'm making postponed phone calls explaining that the people I live with are stranded in New York on account of the blizzard that this morning was mere rain. This near April morning. The blizzard that's now off the coast of Block Island and moving out to sea. The blizzard that wasn't here yesterday when I was so good and received all these dying flowers. My cousin Amy wrote that poem, Violets. I bet you guessed that. In our family, she was the poet, I was the actor, but she needed the stage too. Not as much as the twins needed the stage. I say she and her a lot in this story. One she is my grandmother, another is Amy. One she is my mother, another her identical mirror twin. Two people created from the splitting of a single egg. Lefty, righty, harmony, melody, optimist, pessimist, fighter, victim. I find myself asking, what if the egg hadn't split? Let's go back to a beginning. This she is my grandmother. Like many, she was born to immigrant parents. Unlike many, her father played flute in the Tsar's orchestra before the pogroms. You know the pogroms. Massacres of thousands of Jewish families, burning homes, entire villages, forcing anyone who survived to flee Russia. When her parents found a way out, they settled in Cleveland. Her mother died when she was 9 years old. Her father remarried. He found another recent Russian immigrant, uneducated, spoke only Yiddish. He needed a woman home with the 5 children. And this new wife gave birth to one more. Her father didn't play the flute in America. He built houses. He would build a house, move his family into it, and then they would live there until he was able to sell it. And then he would build a new house, and so on. For this reason, she moved 20 times and attended 10 different schools by the time she graduated. Her stepmother was a workhorse, nothing more. Made her come straight home every single day after school to cook and clean and take care of her little sisters. Not her brothers. They were older. They were boys. They stayed out of that house as much as possible. She loved her father, her brothers, her little sisters, but she had no childhood. What does it mean to be a girl, a woman, a mother? She didn't know. There was no fairy godmother for this Cinderella, but she did find her prince, found a way out of that house, married the lovable boy with the shy, sweet smile who worked at the gas station and brought her donuts on Sunday mornings. Married him as soon as she turned 18.
On the good ship, Lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where bonbons play on the sunny beach in Peppermint Bay.
Twins are born
Lemonade
to this now 19-year-old girl and 22-year-old boy playing house in the middle of the Great Depression. During her pregnancy, while he went to work every day in his brother's gas station, she went to the movies and dreamed of babies who looked like Shirley Temple. Her mother-in-law was kind to her, but she still had no idea what it meant to be a mother. So she dreamed of babies who looked like Shirley Temple. And her husband sure did love her. Twins are born. They look nothing like Shirley Temple. Thick, straight, coarse, jet black hair covers their newborn heads. Their faces are tiny and pinched and red like raisins. The one born second, the one who will someday be my mom, is quite underweight, has to stay in the hospital for a couple of weeks fighting for her life, fighting for a chance. They look nothing like Shirley Temple, but they can sing, and they are going to be stars. They are 4 years old, the Twinnies. Today is their singing debut, the act that entertains a crowd in between boxing matches. It's 1939. A raucous throng gathered to watch men sweat and punch each other, and out into the ring step these two tiny little girls, dressed in identical outfits with identical faces, who hold hands and begin harmonizing the torch song, My Man. Oh, my man, I love him so. He'll never know all my life has been despair, but I don't care when he takes me in his arms. Seriously, what was my grandmother thinking, teaching them a song like that? They are so tiny and so cute that the spectators begin laughing, loudly laughing, drowning out these little voices. One tries to keep singing, but her voice becomes small. She's embarrassed and frightened. The other, the one who will one day become my mother, shakes her tiny fist at all these laughing adults, infuriated, which only makes them laugh harder. This moment imprints itself in her psyche. She knows she will have to be the tough one throughout their life. And no matter how little she is, she will make sure that people pay attention and take her seriously. What if the egg hadn't split? One girl instead of two. I can't help wondering who that girl would have been. Mom says, we were extensions of each other. We were so close. When Grammy and Grampy bought us twin beds, we were so lonesome for each other that they exchanged the twin beds for a double, which suited us just fine. You know, Grammy made us go to bed so early every single night, right after dinner, far before we were sleepy. So we would lie together in that double bed, giggling, working on songs. And we never minded dressing alike. It was the fashion then to dress twins in identical outfits. It was natural for us. We thought it was fun. We made a game of it. The first one out of bed in the morning got to choose the outfits. The late sleeper had to accept the choice. They were raised to entertain, to be toys for parents, aunts and uncles, boyfriends, bosses, managers. They were never allowed to disagree or argue or raise their voices, expected to be a unit, unified, united at all times. The twinnies have to have matching rhyming names. The twinnies have to dress alike. The twinnies have to be alike. The twinnies are not truly individuals. Every moment is staged. Every gesture, a performance. Mom sang harmony, Auntie melody. Auntie couldn't hear harmony the way Mom could. What is wrong with me? Why can't I figure out the harmony? I'm not as good a singer. Why can't I figure out the harmony the way she can? I'm not as good. And Grammy would say, oh, honey, that is nonsense. Of course you are. Without the melody, there would be no harmony. You're both equally important. But she never really believed that. She always felt like the half that didn't matter. Mom says she remembers watching her walking ahead when they were maybe 10 and thinking, she will never be happy. My sister will never be happy. They were raised in a world of shoulds and don'ts. Auntie carried those shoulds and don'ts with her through to adulthood. She tells Amy, when Amy's 10 and gets her period, don't ever let a boy touch you. It's very bad. She doesn't like the way her husband touches her, but she's learned to live with it. The twins developed early too. When it's time for the talk, Grammy ushers them into her bedroom, closes the door, turns off all the lights, sits them down on her bed, sits on a chair across from them, and there, in total darkness, she tells them where babies come from. In total darkness. And they never speak of it again. Mom says, Grammy and Grampy were so shy. It's a wonder they ever figured out a way to have sex. When my mom told me, our eyes were wide open, and she made sure I could see. Auntie tells Amy not to let boys touch her, but she herself did. She liked the attention. She liked the way it felt. She was pretty. She fell in love easily. She let men consume her. Shoulds and don'ts. Mom says it was either make it in the music business, or become secretaries, or get married to a nice Jewish boy. Nothing in between. We considered becoming flight attendants, stewardesses in those days. We thought it sounded glamorous. But you had to be a certain height. Whatever it was, 5'2", 5'3", at 4'10 and a half and 4'11", we were not going to make it. It would have been another role to play, another public to serve. It was either make it in the music business as the Tracy twins, or become secretaries, or get married. Nothing in between. The exact same hair, the exact same clothes, the exact same makeup, raised to be objects of entertainment and others' pleasure. A Shirley Temple movie. The way I see it, the 1940s and 50s did my mother and her sister no good at all.
Flip-flop, every time I kiss you. Flip-flop, every time I kiss you. Flip-flop, oh, how I miss you. Flip-flop.
Amy and I played dress-up in these gowns.
We're beating at a crazy pace.
But they lived these gowns. Do you see how tiny the waist is? I'm not a big person, but I can't zip it up. I'm pregnant with Alex. I'm hungry just about all the time. That weak in the knees, about ready to pass out kind of hunger. During my first trimester, as long as I eat a little bit every 2 hours, I never feel sick. During the second trimester, I crave and consume vast quantities of red meat and spinach. During the third trimester, I'm back to small amounts because there is no room in my stomach. I gain 23 pounds during that pregnancy. Hey, Mom, how much did you gain when you were pregnant with me? I didn't gain any weight. Okay, that's literally impossible. What do you want me to say? The doctors told us not to gain any weight, and so we didn't. Okay, but that's impossible. I weighed 6 pounds when I was born. The placenta weighs a few pounds, plus the amniotic fluid. You would have to have gained at least around 10 pounds. If your weight didn't change while you were pregnant, then you actually lost weight during pregnancy, which is crazy. Well, I guess that must be what happened. Never thought of it that way. How could you not have thought of it? We just did what the doctors told us to and didn't question. But weren't you starving all the time? I get so hungry. We were always hungry because we were always on a diet. You know, when we were singing, when we were on the road, we were always dieting. We were always hungry, so this didn't feel that much different. Did you hear the we, the us? Never I, never me. They got engaged within 4 months of each other? No, they got married within 4 months of each other, married men with the same birthday, got pregnant within 5 months of each other. 2 bodies, 1 person. One Thanksgiving, during high school, Auntie corners me in the kitchen of her house. Your mother is huge. Do you see the size of her rear end? I can't stand to see her this way. She is just eating and eating and eating. It's her body, Auntie. She knows. She'll lose weight when she's ready to. But she looks horrible. And her hair is much too short. Give her a break. You know she likes short hair. You're the one who likes it long. But this is too short. It's austere. It's not feminine. But it's her hair. Mom says, I had to move away to become myself. Look the way I want to look. Dress the way I want to dress. Cut my hair. Sing the way I want to sing. She never let me sing the way I want to. She always held me back. But I miss her. I miss her. She's the one I want to talk to. She's the one I want to be with. And I can't.
Go! Listen up when I'm thinking of you. Listen up when I'm thinking of you. Listen up, darling, how I love you. Listen up.
They each become engaged to be married when they're 25. Of course, they'll take their husbands' names, no question. For my aunt, this is particularly important. I will be Mrs. Sam Silverstein. She wears the title like it's a crown. She wraps it around herself like a shawl. She holds it in front of herself like a shield. Protecting her from what? 27 years of Mrs. Sam Silverstein when there shouldn't even have been one. Silverstein is like a prison or a cage. And at long last, she breaks free. But after 27 years. And now what shall be her name? Margolis feels like some young girl that she doesn't even know anymore. Tracy? She was at her best as one of the Tracy twins, right? She'll be Yuzi Tracy. She lives an image of herself. But then Gary shows up. Her high school sweetheart, also divorced. He's the one. He's always been the one. What a perfect story. I will be Mrs. Gary Goldberg. Wait. You're both in your 50s. Don't get married now. Just live together. See what happens. See how it works out. Keep your name. Keep your identity. I need to be married to my Gary. This is who I was meant to be. Why? She can't answer. And after that marriage didn't work out either, what now? Tracy. Back to Judy Tracy, one half of the Tracy twins. What if the egg hadn't split? Would the girl have been whole? There would have been no Amy, no me. We come from these two halves of a person. This she, the one who was my aunt and Amy's mom, could never let go of her Tracy twin self. During high school, Amy's high school theater teacher lived in a farm near Kent, Ohio. And every summer, he ran a cabaret theater there out of the converted barn. Amy and her friends spent long summer days there working on the farm, working on shows, playing out romances. One summer, the theater teacher asked if the Tracy twins might want to sing there, put on a concert. For my mom, singing as the Tracy twins felt a little bit like getting back into the prom dress that no longer fits. And even if it does fit, it's just a little bit dated. But for my aunt, singing as the Tracy twins felt like getting back into the skin that fit, getting back to the self that she believed she wanted to be. Amy wrote a poem about that summer concert. Music lessons. Mother's singing at the farm this summer. She's doing a benefit concert as if it was 1954, as if it was the Geauga County Fair and there was some blonde 20-year-old Ferris wheel operator waiting for her last show to end, as if there was some sax player leaving roses in her trailer. Shaboom. As if it was Savannah Beach and the hotels were full, nowhere to stay but in a whorehouse where the madam was a great cook. Best fried chicken ever, Mother says. This summer with July so hot, you away, Ohio raining, I'm staying as far away from the farm as I can. It's not New Orleans. It's not Savannah Beach, the Trocadero, the Savoy. There are no strippers to learn makeup techniques from, no house bands, no radios playing records. Mother turned off the radio in 1954. She put a down payment on the first house when Buddy Holly was making his TV debut. Mother was canning jams during Woodstock. She thinks Connie Francis is more musician than was Janis Joplin. She thinks Burt Bacharach brought music back. And all because by the time the 70s arrived with their clear lip glosses and suede vests, Mother had the courage to turn the radio back on, to see what had happened in the 20 years since she entertained the Air Force, the 20 years since American Bandstand, the 20 years since Savannah Beach, to reconcile herself to music, to musicians. I see the way she looks at you, as if you were some headliner in a piano bar in the South, the sax player she left for Dad, Paul Newman in HUD, James Dean in East of Eden. And she says, honey, marry the man who turns you on the most. And baby, my greatest fear is that some man will love you the way I love Daddy. And she talks of lead singers she hasn't seen since adolescence, as if they had just left the recording studio. And I see me, sitting in some back bay bar all teary-eyed with a Wellesley-bound daughter lamenting your departure of 30 years ago. Please come home this summer so that we can talk and won't have to hear Cole Porter, so that we can walk along the railroad tracks behind the barn all the way to the power plant and forget what time it is, so that I won't have to look at Dad. Dad with the steady job and the down payment, who's never been to New Orleans and who can't tell a sax from a clarinet. During college, Amy says, I don't really tell her anything. She doesn't really give me room to say anything. You know, I call to say hi or whatever, and she just goes off on this monologue. And then like 15 minutes later, she'll say, so, what's new with you? And I can't just launch into details out of nowhere. So I just say, nothing much is going on. And then she launches into another monologue. But it's fine. Your mom is mostly saner. There was a time when I was close to my aunt. During high school, I sometimes felt like you understood me more than Mom. And you always picked out the best sweaters for my birthday. Great fashion sense, perfect fit. You understood my style, and you understood my desires, my longings and obsessions when it came to boys. But I didn't learn what to do from you. I learned what not to do. Mom says, well, I'll tell you about Auntie. The New Year's Eve, before Daddy and I got married, Auntie and Uncle Sam were also engaged. We were all at a house party together, and Uncle Sam got rip-roaring drunk. He became very nasty when we left the party. Daddy took the wheel of Uncle Sam's car, and when we got back to the house, Auntie threw the engagement ring at him. Uncle Sam insisted on driving himself home, so Daddy followed to make sure that he was okay. And when he got back to the house, he said to Auntie, Judy, in a little more than a month, I am going to be your brother. And as your brother, I am begging you, get out of this engagement. But she was terrified that she would never find anyone who wanted to marry her. I was cute, but she was beautiful and smarter than me in school, but she never saw it. So she took him back. I think she thought she loved him, but what she really wanted was security, safety from the big, bad world of broken hearts that we left when we came off the road. Oh, so many guys fell for her. But the one she was madly in love with, Pat. You remember I told you how we worked so much with the crew cuts? Well, one of the crew cuts, Pat, he and Auntie were wild for each other. But he was a devout Catholic. And his mother would never accept a daughter-in-law who was Jewish, so he broke it off. And then more guys who just didn't treat her well. She was more depleted with each one. So with Uncle Sam, she thought she'd be safe. And she thought he was rich from an old money family. Turns out he wasn't. Turns out his family had had some falling out, money-related, and he was part of the losing side, the disinherited side. He was never nice to Grammy and Grampy, was a pretty mean drunk, but he adored Amy and you. He was very good to you. But she chose to lose herself when she married him, and she lost herself again when she married Gary. The night before Sam and Auntie's wedding, they had a big argument in Grammy and Grampy's living room. Grammy overheard the whole thing from the kitchen. What do you mean you have a singing engagement? It's in a few months, right here in Cleveland. Well, you're not going to do it. Well, sure we are. We're looking forward to it. I thought this whole Tracy twin thing is over. Just because we left the road doesn't mean we're going to stop singing, but not after we're married. It's just a local thing, Sam, for heaven's sakes. I thought I made this clear. No more Tracy twins. I am always going to want to sing with my sister. You can't tell me what I can or can't do. I'll do anything I'll damn well please. You know what, just get out of here. Just get out of here. I don't even want to look at you. In a panic, Grammy calls my newly married mom in nearby Akron. Uni, you have to do something. We have to stop this wedding. She won't listen to me. She won't listen to Daddy. We have to do something. So in the morning, my mom rushes to Cleveland, goes to my grandparents, finds her sister sitting at the kitchen table, calmly eating a sandwich. Huh, what are you doing here? I thought we were meeting later at the hotel to get ready. Yudi, Muth called and told me what happened last night. What? Oh, that. Oh, Muth completely overreacted. Everything's fine. Yudi, please, don't do this. Don't do what? Don't marry him. Are you crazy? Today's my wedding day. Of course I'm marrying him. But you don't have to. We could call everyone. We could say, the wedding's off, but the party's on. Why on earth would I do that? Yudi, please, no. No. I can handle him. Just leave me alone. Everything's fine. And the wedding went on as planned. Mom says, there was nothing I could do. She would never listen to anyone. And so, after the ceremony, when it was picture-taking time, there she was, looking so beautiful. And I saw Sam completely ignore her, take his mother's arm, and escort her into the next room. And Grampy saw the whole thing too. And before she could know that she was alone, there he was at her side, being there for her, being her dad, preserving the image, the perfect June wedding. And the first few years of married life were pretty good because being a young mother completely in love with your daughter and sharing the experience with your sister can bring nearly heart-stopping delight and joy. I am a married mother with children, president of the PTA, president of the Temple Sisterhood. I have a perfect house. I have a perfect daughter. And more shoulds and don'ts. Never wear white after Labor Day. Always serve tea in a china or silver teapot. Always write thank you notes within 1 week after receiving the gift. Never wear jeans on holidays. All that order. And years later, when the casket with Amy's body was being lowered into the ground, she breaks free from Gary and throws herself on it. Oh, God. Oh, God, no. My Amy. My Amy, no. No, my Amy. Until Gary can lift her up and pull her back. I am a mother who has lost her child. Some years pass, and Sam becomes visibly ill before she does. A lifetime of alcohol and tobacco abuse and grief have ravaged his body. When he is dying in hospice, I bring 3-year-old Alex and newborn Anna to Cleveland to see him. He's still present, and I know that he would want to see them and me to say goodbye. In the hospice room, Auntie stands on one side of the bed. His body is a shell. My Sam, where's his face? I can't find his face. But there are his eyes, those clear blue eyes. My Sam. On the other side of the bed, I stand holding newborn Anna so that he can see her. And 3-year-old Alex stands on a chair next to me, patting Sam's arm. It's okay, Uncle Sam. It's okay. My Sam. It's okay, Uncle Sam. It's okay. Some more years pass, and now she becomes visibly ill. And I bring Alex and Anna to Cleveland to see her. Her dementia is worse. She pulls at the kids, pulls them toward her. Look at me. I can do high kicks. See? Look at me. I can do high kicks. See? She wants to say, I'm here. I matter. But instead, look at me. I shrink back too, though I don't want to. I shield my kids from her, though I want them to be kind to her. From another room, Gary sees her flailing arms and legs. There she goes again. Eudice, stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. Oh, don't pay any attention to him. He's always shushing me, yelling at me, telling me what to do. They're not married anymore. After Amy's death, there was nothing left in her for her. They go their separate ways. But now they're back living in the same apartment. He's doing his best to take care of her because he knows she can't do it herself. I am a mother who has lost her child. There is nothing left. And now, she's in a nursing home for people with Alzheimer's. And Gary drives my mother to visit her whenever my mother can bring herself to go to Cleveland. I don't think my aunt wants to know the world anymore. She rarely speaks, except to say once in a while, I want my sister. I can hear my mother's voice in my head. You're only focused on the bad times with Auntie, and there were so many good times, and that is true. Sometimes all I can focus on are her bad decisions. I lost my house, my perfect house. Sam took my house from me. You got divorced. You never should have married him in the first place. I lost my dance studio. You didn't evolve with changing times, new customer needs. You always had to have everything your way. I lost our singing. You left the business. You made Mom do that, no compromise. I lost my Gary. You always had to have everything your way. I lost my Amy. No, that was not your fault. That was a random, senseless act of violence. I am a mother who has lost her child. And there comes a time when she can no longer face the image. Why would she want to know the world anymore? She would have to face every choice she made, every path she took, confront every regret. She would have to face life without Amy, like I do every single day. She would have to face how little she knew of her daughter, how little she understood herself. I think part of her chose to bury herself deep inside her consciousness, just disappear. My mother has grown stronger as her twin has grown weaker. All the life, energy, drive, purpose that seeped out of my aunt has been fortified in my mom. What drained out of one has been absorbed into the other. My mom is in many ways more vibrant than she's ever been. She is of the world, in the world. Remember that 4-year-old? Making sure the world pays attention to her, but all as a single self, and yet she feels like one half. Mom says, Auntie always said I was the lucky one, and I don't know why. There's a bouquet of dying violets on my dresser. This performance is almost over, and I wish that we were still in dress rehearsals. Amy is no more. My aunt is no more. It's just my mom and me, off balance. Always just a little off balance without the other. Thank you. Thanks so much.